What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 167, and we start today's episode off by putting in a bid for this guy, Colin Conrad, who plays for FSV Mainz in the Bundesliga. This geezer has the showing great potential tag. He's 72 overall and 20 years old. Looks very decent for the future, so we put in a bid for him, and we wait and see what Mainz say. And also a bid for this guy, Steve Leo Matute, who plays for Stade Rennais. Again, looks pretty decent, 21 years old. We don't have a scout report on him just yet, but by his attributes, by his range of attributes, don't have a full scout report, by his range of attributes, he does look pretty decent, and we put in a bid and wait and see what Stade Rennais say. Also, Hugo Torres Munoz of Bayern Munich. Now, this guy looks like Jose Reyna's regen. In fact, I'm almost certain it is. Spanish goalkeeper, 22 years old, 72 overall. Looks pretty decent, and again, I wouldn't mind signing a goalkeeper, just because we've already sold 2 of the 4 we currently owned. But we do have Areola, who's a backup goalkeeper, so maybe on 30 grand a week it'll be a bit of a waste of wages. But we'll have to wait and see what Bayern Munich say anyway. The bid is just to test the water right now. And also a bid for Tahiri at Wolfsburg as well, a Belgian holding midfielder. Again, these players, along with this guy, Fischer, who plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach, this guy's actually only 69 overall, but he does have the showing great potential tag. These players aren't going to be the best right now. They're not going to jump right into our first team or even on the bench. But as I did mention in the last episode, the reason we're going in for these players is not just for fun, but really because if we do leave Paris Saint-Germain, as I mentioned many times before, even though I don't necessarily want to, because I do like it here, even if we do leave at some stage during the season or at the end of the season, we'll leave PSG with not just a great first 11, but also a great team to develop as well on the bench and in the reserves in terms of young players with high potential, which is always nice because it means that you're sort of thinking about the long-term future even after you're not there. So it's kind of cool to sort of make sure they've got some good resources when we leave, so they're not just left with like a few world-class players and a load of deadwood players. That was the plan this summer transfer window, and that's what we've done. Still following that, we have our first and only game of today's episode here against Juventus in the Coppa Europe. Now, of course, this is the Super Cup, or whatever you want to call it, the Champions League winners against the Europa League winners from last season, facing off in a one-game special, if you will. So taking on the Italian side. Honestly, coming into the game, I was looking forward to it because I definitely felt as though we would be the favourites for it. But Juventus' team is very decent, even though they do have a lot of their old guard there, not too many new players. But still, the first chances would fall early on to us. But in the 29th minute, Marchisio comes forward and does give Juventus the lead. So the away side take the lead in this game. Well, the away side, we're both technically away sides, not playing at home. But still, Juventus do take the lead there. A lovely little ball inside, and unfortunately, again, it was just me doing one of those stupid things, dragging out a centre-back when I don't need to, and giving up a simple goal. So 1-0 to Juventus, and we did have a lot of backup players out there ourselves. We did rest the vast majority of the team in this game. Pastore, Verratti, Higuain started as well, Marquinhos, David Luiz. But even so, I still didn't expect us to go behind in this game, because I felt as though my team, despite not being my first 11, would be good enough to get the job done. But in the 45th minute, we're through again here with Falvin on the ball down this left-hand side, taking it around Marchisio here, and then Cáceres crosses the ball to the far post, and Gonzalo Higuain does head it past the former PSG goalkeeper Sirigu and into the back of the net. So the Italian can't keep it out. Higuain makes it 1-1, and this guy is now going to be a backup striker for us, sitting on the bench at 87 overall. And when you can bench an 87 rated striker, it shows you how class your current one is in Lacazette. But even so, I'm very confident if we do keep him here and do manage to get him, we're not signing a new contract, but stopping him from moving on deadline day, then I'm very, very confident we'll have a great attacking lineup. And it's great to have that strength in depth, because even though he's now a bench player, he's still, even though I don't get on with him too well, he's still a decent striker, 87 overall. So he makes it 1-1, and we do indeed equalise here. In the 54th minute, though, Juventus will get themselves back in front, and it came through Carlos Tevez. And obviously Tevez with a wealth of experience there. If you let him have that much freedom, he's probably going to find the back of the net. And again, it was a case of me just being all over the place defensively. You can definitely see what I mean from the aerial shots there on the replays. You can see the defensive line, there isn't a defensive line, there's no positioning sense or anything. It's really poor from me, and I need to sort it out. But in the 72nd minute here, Bovo finds Pastore, who spreads it out wide towards Ezequiel Levetu, who takes on Cáceres here, cuts inside, great chance to make it 2-2 and equalise, but unfortunately the shot did go wide and behind for a goal kick. So still Juventus in the lead in this game. And in the 78th minute, Pastore Pastore finds Lavezzi down his left-hand side. Ronaldo chops around Lucas, crosses the ball in. Higuain wins the header, but it goes onto the roof of the net and behind for a goal kick. So time running out, we were still 2-1 down, and it looked as though Juventus were going to claim the trophy, and we would have to settle for a runners-up medal. But in the 90th minute, Higuain fake shots around his man and shoots, but unfortunately for us, Sirigu makes another good save before Juventus get the ball away. And sadly, it was how the game would finish as well. So PSG 1, Juventus 2, and we don't win the Super Cup. We have to settle for a runners-up medal. So, you know, I'll say it again. I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. This is nowhere near as easy as people seem to make it out to be, or some of you, I should say, seem to make it out to be when we came here. It certainly is a big challenge, you know, and we lose in the Super Cup. Yes, of course, we've won the French version of the Community Shield. Yes, we won the Champions League. Yes, we won Ligue 1. We've also lost this, and we've also lost the Coupe Nationale. So, you know, out of those 5 realistic trophies we were going for, we've won 3 and lost 2. So, okay, sure, we're in the majority for winning ahead of losing, but it's still not as easy as you may think. So, Juventus grabbing the win, and maybe as well, you know, a sign that this squad isn't actually as good as I seem to make it out to be. I keep on thinking that the backup players in this team and the reserve and the bench players are more than capable of being good enough for most first teams in Europe, but maybe it's not. Even though the players are high rated, maybe they're actually not as good. You know, there are some players that are really high rated, but you just never get on with them. Higuain for me for being a good example there. Maybe they're not as good as I keep on thinking they are, but regardless, even so, as deadline day came on, we got a bit of money for finishing as runners up there. As deadline day came in, we saw that Hugo Torres Munoz, Bayern Munich accepted the bid for the Spanish goalkeeper, and at 23 years old, 72 overall, goalkeepers don't tend to hit their peak until later on during their careers. But I thought at the end of the day, 30 grand a week for a third choice goalkeeper, there's not really much point. Even though I do like to have 3 goalkeepers in my team, as you guys know, there's not really much point at all in that. So we'll just say no, and we'll worry about getting some other players instead who clearly do have a lot of potential and are already good enough in terms of their overall as well. So that is Raul Unlu. He's the main one I want from Bayern Munich, but I don't think we'll be able to get hold of him. Also Nicolas Terrazino. This guy looks really, really decent for a youngster, a young centre-back. He is 71 overall. He is even 18 years old. He's got his contract up at the end of the year, but he is the type of player who we still may have to pay a few £1 million for because he can't be signed in January on a pre-contract as he's under the age of 23. But even so, I would love to get this guy in the team because I think he could be a great centre-back in the future in terms of his potential. He's got the showing great potential tag. If he's already at 71 overall, there's a strong chance that he could get into the mid-80s if you play him enough. But also a bit for Colin Conrad as well. FSV Mainz will want £7.5 million. Not sure I'm going to pay that, but we'll have to wait and see. And also Paul Nardi at Monaco. Again, another goalkeeper who's been recommended to me. Apparently he grows really well on career mode, so I thought I'd take a look at him. 73 overall, 25 years old, 30 grand a week. Doesn't look bad per se, and he, again, goalkeepers do hit their peaks later on in their careers, or usually, but I'm not too sure I want to be spending in excess of around £4 to £5 million for the guy because, you know, again, he may turn out to be really good, but I'm not entirely sure he's going to be someone who will get much game time here to develop, maximise his potential chances. So I'm not too sure about that one. I'll probably just say no, like we did with Torres Munoz, the Reina regen. But still, following that new bid for Colin Conrad, we saw that another club have accepted a bid. Mainz have accepted another club's bid for him. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, not too bothered about him. There are loads of CMs around who are just as good and have the same amount of potential. This is one here, Chani Tahiri. So even if we miss out on Conrad, we'll take one of the others that are available. So at the end of the day, I'm not really fussed who we get because all of them do have the showing great potential tag, and none of them have, like, you know, standout stats, if you will. They're all quite similar in their range of stats. So whoever we get, I'll be happy with. I'm sure they'll all have very similar potential. And again, we're not going to be that fussed because we won't develop them, you know, an insane amount whilst we're here. But so long as they're good enough for the club in the future, we're okay with that because it means that they can make a profit on them if they develop them once we've left. Still a new bid for Rani Unlu. He is the one I do want, but Bayern Munich will not accept any bid lower than £27.5 million. This guy could be absolutely insane, but I don't really want to pay that much for a player who has other midfielders ahead of him in Coulomb, Savanier, Verratti and Pastore. Not really much point, so there you go. And also Nicolas Terrazino, he put a bit of £3.75 million. Again, it is an overspend right now, no one's going to deny that, but in the future I think that guy could be a great centre-back, so we'll have to wait and see what the clubs say, and there you go. And also a new bid for Fischer as well of, I think it's Borussia Mönchengladbach, and we'll wait and see what they say, because again, this guy's 69 overall, 18 18 years old, but he could be good in the future. And of course, that is exactly why we are trying to sign these players, so we can give PSG a good young team to work with. Monaco rejected a bid for Paul Nardi, so I looked at it and I was like, there's not really much point, is there? So I just thought, forget about it. However, Wolfsburg and Mainz both accepted bids for their players, Colin Conrad and also Tahiri as well. So both of these holding midfielders look, average right now for the PSG first team, but good enough in the future with their showing great potential tags. But Tahiri is a few ratings higher. He's 22 years old, and he looks as though he's probably got more of a chance of succeeding in the PSG team without me being here to prioritise playing one over the other. So I think I'm probably going to go ahead and sign Tahiri instead of Conrad. Also, this team will just not let go of Terrazino. They can already see his worth in the future. So I thought, you know what, we've got the money. Let's just spend the big bucks. £4.5 million for the 18-year-old. It's quite a lot of money, but quite frankly, as you'll see, they accept the bid, and I'm confident he'll grow very nicely if he does get game time. We'll put him on the loan list. If we can't loan him out, which we probably won't be able to because it's just so hard to loan out players for me, I don't really know why, then we'll just try and loan him in January. Otherwise, PSG have got a good young centre-back to develop in the future. He could be a great replacement for Thiago Silva long term. So Tahiri and Conrad both accepted their contracts. Again, both of those players look just as good as each other, really. Maybe Tahiri's a little bit better as he has 3 ratings higher, but he is a couple years older as well. But in the end, I went with Tahiri. I just thought at the end of the day, he's got more chance of succeeding, early on in his career at PSG. Conrad may take 4 or 5 seasons, whereas Tahiri could already get some first team football this year. So let's go with Tahiri. So Tahiri comes in, and again, we didn't need him. We didn't need to sign him, but we're just looking to try and give PSG the best available squad for the long-term future if we do end up leaving. Also putting a bid for Dennis Soa of Schalke for a full season loan. Again, this is just because I like to have 3 goalkeepers, and he's only going to cost £8,000 a week. So he does come in on loan. Again, we really do not need this guy. Goalkeepers very rarely get injured and or suspended. Usually you rarely ever see a goalkeeper for your team get suspended. But regardless of that, he's going to come in, and so is Terrazino as well. So Terrazino for the long-term future as a centre-back, I think he'll be pretty decent, and also Sauer on loan just for a bit of cover. So yeah, Terrazino coming in, I'm happy with that, and there you go. So following that, we put a bid for Andre Schürrle as well of Chelsea. Obviously now just joined Wolfsburg in real life just a few days ago, so putting a bid for Andre Schürrle. I really like Schürrle. I think he's a very underrated player. Can do the job out wide, and I think he can play up front as well if he's given enough game time there. So we put in a bid for Andre Schürrle, and we'll wait and see what Chelsea say. The reason I put in a bid for Schürrle in particular is because his contract is up at the end of the year. So I thought this could be a good chance of getting him on a relatively cheaper deal than what he's actually valued at. 84 overall, and already valued at £18.5 million. So possibly going to be able to get him cheaper with this, but as you can see by our budget, there's not much money left. And again, Schürrle is not necessary here. Even though he's 84 overall and could go straight onto our bench, he's still not necessary. He's got players like Falvin on the bench and Lavetti in the reserves. He's not needed, but we'll wait and see what Chelsea say. They rejected the first bid as they didn't want to sign on Genda, and we put in a straight bid of £11 million, but as you'll see, it's not going to work because Jose Mourinho basically just says, I want to keep Schürrle here, there's no need to sell him, and the bids you're putting in are, not as good as the £20 million we're asking for. So I said, okay, that's fair enough, there's no need, we don't need him, so we'll just leave it as it is. And also Chelsea put in a bid for Pastore of £19.5 million. It's a good deal for a £16 million valuation, 30 years old, so he's probably going to start to decrease in the next couple of seasons, but there was only 2 hours left on deadline day, and as I've said many times before, it always takes a minimum of 2 hours for a deal to be completed, and from your end of the perspective, it takes a minimum of 3 hours, I do believe, or at least 2 hours anyway. So it meant if we did sell Pastore, in the next advance there'd be 1 hour left, we'd have the money for him, but we wouldn't be able to sign the players, there wouldn't be enough time. So I thought, do you know what we'll do is I think we stalled it and basically just said forget about it in the end, because there's just not enough time, and even though it is a good deal, we won't be able to sign a replacement. So I did put in a bid for Paul Pogba really quickly, just to see if we could get hold of the guy quicker than I thought. Actually, there was 3 hours left, wasn't there? There was 3 hours left at this stage, so there was a chance to sign one more player. So I thought if we put a bid for Paul Pogba, or for everything we've got, if Liverpool say yes, then what we can do is sell Pastore, get the money to pay Pogba's wages, and that'll be just a quick replacement for him. But there wasn't enough time really to work all this stuff out, and when Liverpool came back and said the bid for Pogba wasn't good enough, that was basically a telling sign it wasn't going to happen. So I just rejected the bid for Pastore, as I didn't want to sell a good midfielder if we weren't going to be able to get a replacement. But that did end transfer deadline day, so what a busy summer transfer window that was. So many players leaving the club, so many deadwood players getting shifted on from Partners Brands. Exactly what we wanted to do. That was the aim in the summer transfer window. Sell on a ton of players who have no future here. Also bring in some good young players to develop in terms of their potential for future. We've done that as well in the shape of players like Tahiri and Terrazino and Paloon, and also signed some good first team players as well. We've done that in Ashton Gott, right back, and also Kurzawa at left back as well. So a busy summer transfer window, but what a productive one. In the end, we spent £63 million, I think it was, and got £21 million. A busy and expensive transfer window, but I'm confident we've done really, really well with PSG. Some good business, and I'm looking forward to starting a new season. Again, you know, as I mentioned many times before, we may not be leaving PSG this season. We may be, I don't know. I'll probably see how you guys are reacting to the videos as they're going along in terms of what you guys would prefer to see. But still, we've definitely left PSG with a great squad for the long term, even if we are gone in the next season or so. But that does end the episode, so thank you very much for watching, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, because it is much appreciated, and of course it really does help my channel out. And I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.